guys, welcome to Digit.in. Today we're going to be reviewing the base variant of the brand new HP 14. Now before we get into all of the technical details and the findings of our review, make sure to hit the subscribe button on our channel and also press the bell icon so that you don't miss any future updates from us. Now that we've got the essentials out of the way, let's begin. First, let's talk about the specs on the HP 14. Now, this brand new machine from HP is, at least the review variant that we have, is powered by the Intel Core i3 processor. It's a 10th generation processor. It's got 4 gigs of RAM on board, a 1TB hard drive, and a full HD glossy panel. But the glossy panel has very good anti-reflective properties. So, we'll get into that at a later bit. Now, from a specification point of view, it seems fairly entry level for a laptop, and that it is. What sets the HP 14 apart, or rather what the main USP of this laptop is the fact that it comes with a 4G slot built in. So you can actually take a SIM card, pop it in, and you have connectivity wherever you go. So that covers the specs. Let's talk performance. Now, when we ran our suite of benchmark tests on the HP 14, whether it be 3D Mark's basic graphic level test, PC Mark's Office Suite tests, or WinRAR's benchmarking, 7-zip benchmarking, or even disk speed tests, so all of that sort of reinforces the fact that this is an entry-level laptop. For an entry-level laptop, there's nothing out of the ordinary here. Where you see the performance really shine is actually in day-to-day use. So in day-to-day performance, things get a little bit more detailed and nuanced. Now, for example, if you have a browser window open with multiple tabs, you will eventually start seeing that your system starts putting these tabs to sleep. Not only that, if you open, let's say, an Excel file or a Word document, you will face some stutter, like maybe a second and a half-ish of a stutter while switching between these applications. So this is simply because at the end, it's not the processor, but it's actually the 4 GB of RAM and the hard drive. Running a system with a hard drive today is just a painful process. HP sort of recognizes that and allows the user to also pop in an M.2 SSD. There is a slot on the motherboard that's separate from the hard drive caddy. So you could buy an M.2 SSD, let's say 128, 256 gigs. They're fairly cheap these days. Pop it in and you have the advantage of speed. In terms of RAM upgradability, unfortunately, you get only a single DIMM slot. So remove the 4 gig stick, put in an 8 gig stick. There you go. What effectively this does is it noticeably will improve the day-to-day performance of the laptop. You will no longer see stutters between switching windows. You'll be able to run more applications at the same time. Of course, all of that depending on the fact that the applications you are running are not super demanding. Don't expect to run Adobe Premiere and also have a multiple browser tab session open. That's just not going to work. So when it comes to the performance, the HP 14 sort of strikes the perfect balance between what it offers and what potential it has to offer, making it actually perfect for anybody who's looking for an entry-level laptop. But there is one catch which we'll get into when we talk about the price. Having talked about the performance, let's talk about the display. Now, for an entry-level laptop to offer a full HD display is great. It's a reflective panel, but I was actually quite surprised as to how well controlled the reflectivity is. Not only is it good at suppressing reflections, but it's also a fairly bright panel. We locked a brightness of 410 lux using our lux meter, and using it outdoors under the bright sun was not a problem at all. Like, everything is fairly easily and very clearly legible. So that's a very big plus point, because typically what we've seen is that entry-level laptops tend to have these washed out VA panels which don't really give you any kind of good feeling visually. But the HP panel is it's amazing. The other thing that we should be talking about here is the keyboard, the trackpad, and the I/O. Now, the keyboard is perhaps one of my favorite things about this laptop. It offers really good travel. The response is very good. The keys they feel fairly tactile, and the typing experience in general was actually very amazing. This is again something that reinforces my belief that the HP 14 would be best served in the hands of, let's say, a student who has to do a lot of typing, a lot of project work, a lot of presentations, or maybe somebody whose job requires a lot of typing, for example, like ours. So, but if you don't need a very powerful laptop, then the keyboard here is actually a very, very solid recommendation. The trackpad, on the other hand, sort of pulls the whole experience down. HP still does not use precision drivers, and therefore the gesture navigation using this trackpad is just not happening. The trackpad feels sluggish. The keys, although, are all right to use, the right click and the left click, but overall the trackpad experience is not that great. You would just be better served using an external mouse. Speaking of an external mouse, let's talk connectivity. You've got a full-size HDMI port and a whole host of USB 3.0 type A ports. So connectivity is not going to be a problem. You have the ports on the right, on the left, everything's sort of there. And while it's not a whole lot, it is still in line with what is offered by most laptop manufacturers. Now let's talk about the battery life. The HP 14, the Core i3 variant of it, the one we are reviewing, comes with a 40 watt-hour battery. On the PC Mark 10 work battery benchmark, it gives about 6 hours worth of battery life, but on day-to-day usage, the mileage varied between 5 to 5.5 hours, not more than that. Could be attributed to the fact that it also has a 4G SIM in there and the radio does drain the battery. Overall, for an entry-level laptop, it still offers pretty decent battery life. 5 hours of continuous use is not bad. And if you're more judicious, let's say you're using good battery management practices, you put the laptop to sleep when you're not using it, you could actually get about an entire day's worth of usage out of it. What doesn't work for the HP 14, however, is its build quality. Now, it's not built poorly. It's not that HP is using substandard materials. That's not the case at all. But unfortunately, what does happen is there is flex everywhere. There is flex on the lid, there is flex on the base, there is flex on the keyboard island, and everything sort of, it just flexes. So if you were to hold the laptop with just one hand and you make a good grip on it, you will find that the laptop lid is sort of bending inwards. It's not a very comforting feeling, but that's what happens. So build quality leads us to believe that if you were to use this laptop and carry it around on a daily basis, you'd have to be careful in how you are carrying it, how you're putting it down, picking it back up, because I personally don't think it would survive a drop or of that sort. So build quality is definitely something that leaves us wanting more, especially when you consider the fact that HP is selling this laptop for 44,990. Now, for a Core i3 version of a laptop with a hard drive and just 4 gigs of RAM, this is a pretty steep asking price. You could say it is justified because you get a 4G SIM slot, but I mean, if you take the 4G SIM slot away, this is definitely an expensive machine for what it has to offer. You could get laptops with an SSD or 8 gigs of RAM. What they would lack would be a 4G SIM slot, but you have hotspot. You can run the hotspot, so there's that. Basically what it's going to come down to is, do you absolutely need that 4G connectivity? If yes, then the HP 14 then makes a lot of sense. Maybe not the i3 variant, maybe you could go with an i5 or even the i7 kind. But the fact is that HP has a lineup of machines now available with SIM slots in them. Acer too has some machines that you could look into, but HP has sort of been the company that's built a reputation for making good, reliable, enterprise-grade laptops for the masses. So that's our review of the HP 14. Hopefully you guys have found this helpful. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in the section below, the comment section that is, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And for now, thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next one.